Hello and welcome to another Doctor's Assistant 1 video, and today I'm doing a review of Doctor Who Terra Firma, which is the, I think, fourth 8th Doctor video, Big Finish review even, sorry, that I've done, which include Embrace the Darkness, the last Scherzo, and this one. And thus far I've given 2 8 out of 10s to Embrace the Darkness and Last, then Scherzo 10 out of 10, because that was just insanely good, and then, well, you'll find out what I give this. So yeah, so far from what I've experienced of the 8th Doctor in the monthly range, it's been very good. I do know one thing though. I do already know that going into this, that if you've watched other people's reviews, you may not like this story, but it's all down to personal preference at the end of the day. I'm not lambasting or slamming or, proper hurting the other people who reviewed this, their channels, because I respect all of them and we're on the same sort of page. We're all big fans of Doctor Who. So, it's just TJ Productions and Pertwee Smith 11, I think, have both gone on record to say that this episode's quite overrated, which is fair enough. That's their opinion. And then there's also the Cyber Leader 1010, I think it was, who has stated on his channel that I think he said that it was a bit confusing, and then he just sort of found it a bit boring because of that. So, but yeah, so you've got Paul McGann there, the Daleks there, and then the Emperor Dalek there. You've got Earth with the sort of sky dome thing, which is very relevant to the story, sorry. Big Finish there, logo there, very small, I know. My major gripe with the cover is that because it didn't have Charlie and Kerez on it, I honestly thought this was a Charlie and Kerez-like one, because as well, listening to the Big Finish audio trailer for this, there's no sound of them in it, so I just assumed they weren't in it. So on the spine you've got 72, so it's the 72nd episode in the monthly range. Big Finish in red there, Doctor Who Terra Firma. The back has the blurb and the picture of the cover and the running time, which is 100 minutes, so it's an hour and 40 minutes long, as it has 4 parts, 2 discs, 4 parts, and then you've got writer's notes there. So yeah, I think, as I've already stated before though, I don't usually review the monthly range ones that often, mainly because they are very, they are in the style of the classic series, but the thing is, because it's not visual and there is so much content being thrown at you, that I find it very difficult to relay a lot of it. I think on a second listen to this, I think I've not enjoyed it more, but been able to consume it a bit easier. I think I would definitely say that this is not a easy listen to if you have just got into Big Finish. I think you'd easily need to start with something more accessible, so something from, like, say, the new David Tennant range, or even the War Doctor range, than this. But yeah, I think Paul McGann, superb. He is absolutely on fire here. I love his Doctor, love his lexicon, the manner in which he speaks, his I was almost going to say his body language, but we don't see it, but how I interpreted that, just his general sort of swagger and his way he carries himself in his words is just so Doctor-like, and it makes me think of his Doctor as though he's a mixture of John Pertwee, as he's intelligent, but he's also got that, I feel like as well, spark and childlike spark and wonder and madness of, say, Tom Baker as well, and this is a very multi-layered, multifaceted Doctor Who episode. It definitely feels like a 2-in-1 story, in the sense that not only is it the story that's set in chronological order after Remembrance of the Daleks, but it also feels like a bit of a continuation from something that happened in Genesis. So, a lot of stories pull from Genesis, and I think pull stuff and some stuff from there. And I think that's where a lot of other YouTubers have found this episode to be a bit like of a, we've been there, done that sort of thing. But I found the Remembrance of the Dalek stuff, if not more enjoyable, definitely, as the Genesis stuff. I think it might have even been a bit more enjoyable to my taste personally, as it just adds to the relationship and adds new interesting things to the dynamic of Davros and the Doctor. And Terry Malloy, oh my god, he is a god at playing Davros in this story, at least. I like him in Revelation of the Daleks. I'm not, and Resurrection, from what I recall, it's been a long time since I watched that story, but he's decent in those, but I've never massively liked his on-screen appearances. But that might just be because, obviously, Doctor Who was sort of going downhill by that point. So even with the amazing Terry Malloy, that it didn't sort of save it there. But, I mean, Terry Malloy in this is superb, has Davros to a T, and adds this new dynamic layer of almost this sort of split personality, schizophrenic like performance where he's like, you know, I am the Emperor, you will obey me, no, help me, Doctor, I am Davros, no, I am the Emperor, you are the enemy, no, help me, Doctor, I need your help. I called you here because you left me on this ship. You know, almost this sort of, like, complete, 180, going from this control of, like, I am the Emperor, to this, more, oh, please help me, Doctor, like, fumbling buffoon of a weak-willed, emotionally crippled and physically crippled even, being that's just in the shadows, skulking in the shadows in a laboratory, waiting for the one man who blew up his home planet, if you recall, in Remembrance, and left him on that ship, because there is actually a space pod, and you see that little blip, and that's Davros. He's just floating around in space, Don't worry if it makes you feel any better, which it won't, but spoiler alert, he does. There will be a lot of spoilers in this video. A bit late to say that. I know, sorry about that. But he does get his revenge by screwing over some of the previous Doctor's companions. So yeah, that was interesting. I'm still not 100% clear on how he got his mind, or he got this sort of tracking device thing onto the Doctor's TARDIS, and that wasn't too clear. But excluding that, for the most part, a lot of the story flowed very well. The pacing was well paced. It was balanced for the most part. I honestly felt like Kerez, though, got pushed to the sidelines, and then when he was there, it just felt there was just such a juxtaposition for the most part. Like, I wasn't uninterested in his story, but it just felt such a juxtaposition of, Davros and the Doctor, or Charlie and the Resistance, to him, and then just this one woman. And then the ending felt really rushed. No, not rushed, really dragged out, even. And it just felt really boring and dull. And, there was this weird bit with Kerez at the end, and stuff, so that was confusing. So I'm very interested to see what happens in the next story that actually, in chronological order of the month and range, comes after this one, and that, and I love the bit where there's a bit of a callback to the Divergent universe, where the Davros is like, after an hour of being here, you might not live, but you're so calm. Why is that? And the Doctor's like, but Davros, I'm in a universe made of time. As a Time Lord, I can lord over it again. There's a lot of just interesting ideas put here, but some of them are just not developed as much, which is a shame. As for the Daleks, I think the Daleks are decent, but are just waylaid. Not waylaid, sidelined even. I think Kerez and the Daleks are sidelined, and the main three people who get the limelight are the Doctor, Davros, and Charlie. So beyond that, I think a lot of the other stuff gets sidelined, or it gets mentioned, and then that's about it, and you've just got to take that as, okay, this is a big plot point, but it's not going to go any further, but we're going to kind of still need to sort of remember it, which is a bit unfair personally, a bit about the virus and stuff about, the Doctor and how he thinks he might end up, and that, which I thought was very interesting, the bit there's a lot of just juicy dialogue and a lot of real talk between characters here, which you just don't see in the new series, which is such a shame. Very rarely, anyway. But, there's the bit where, Davros is, can a leopard change its spots, Doctor? What do you think? And the Doctor's like, no, Davros, you can't. And that, I almost feel like the Doctor's being extremely arrogant and really closed off to the idea of Davros being able to change, which, fair enough from his perspective. I guess it would be foolish for him to even think that for even a second, but considering he, as the audacity to sort of come across as, or always insist to everyone that he's the believer of all, and yet he's shutting out this one person, it's a bit hypocritical of him, personally, or he's been a bit of a hypocrite, really, if you ask me, but then again, that's just my stupid opinion. But, it's very multifaceted, multi-layered, multifaceted, there's a lot of content here. It's an hour and 40 minutes, so you might get bored, you might not. I mean, it depends. I mean, it's got Daleks, Davros, and the Eighth Doctor. What's not to love? I think, then again, though, if you're going in wanting it to be a Dalek story, then you're going to be disappointed. If you're wanting it to be a really good Charlie story, then you might be disappointed, or a Kera's story. There is a bit of stuff about him and his anger and his rage, and that gets that gets brought up and developed a bit here and there. But overall, and the Resistance people, that was very confusing, and the way the Daleks are in this is not Dalek-like, is all I'll say on that. Which I think it works for certain stories, but in this story I just sort of wanted them to be just Dalek-like instead of, different. I think those sort of ideas work better when you've just got the Daleks, but then again, I guess it means that when you've got the Daleks, at least they're being different from Davros, because especially in this story, Davros starts to become a Dalek more, or become a Dalek, and there is a lot of talk of, the Doctor being like, but Davros, you've always been a Dalek, and Davros has been like, no, I am Davros. No, I am the Emperor, you will obey me, obey, and that, and so, he's flipping between the two personalities of Davros and the Emperor, and the Doctor's just there like, Jesus Christ, what am I having to listen to, this madness, and that, so, and again, it is the aftermath of Remembrance, so if you've ever wondered what the hell happened after Remembrance with Davros and the Doctor, this is your answer, and, and so if that's ever, made you curious about what came next, then this is a must-have. I would give this story a well-earned 9 out of 10, easily, second best McGann story I've easily listened to in the monthly range thus far. Thanks for watching, comment, rate and subscribe.